What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, November 27th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the unemployed Anthony Gallegos.
It is so great to be here of my own volition.
Yeah, you can just come by and do whatever you want now.
I'm a free man.
Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah?
Yeah, you know, it's hard to be upset about everything that's happened in my life lately when, you know, I got my fiance, I have good friends, and I have a lot of people supporting me lately, so I can't really complain about that.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
Did it suck losing my job on my birthday? A little bit.
Yeah.
Did it suck hearing that my dog has cancer or my fiance's dog has cancer? Yeah, a little bit. But all these things, it's like I said.
You can't have the sweet without the sour.
I'm trying to maintain a
Silver lining to every
positive
rain
mental
cloud.
attitude.
Yeah. We'll talk about all that, but of course, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before giving you perspective, answering your questions, reading your bad PSN names, and having a good time with you, the Kinda Funny best friends. If you like that, be part of the show at kindafunny.com/KFGD, and of course, watch it. You can watch it live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're watching live, you have a job to do. That's keep us honest. You need to go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so that at the end of the show we can set the record straight. For everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and listening on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you. We've been gone a while, obviously. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving if you're here in America. If you're not, I hope in whatever heathen country you're in, you didn't sacrifice any virgins or kick any chickens, all right? First off, for housekeeping, Andrea Renee is still up for Trending Gamer. I need you to go to Google. It's simple. I always do it right now, too. You ever do this? You ever have fun on the show?
Just go and vote right now?
Yeah, because you go to Google, and this is really cool. I think I would have won by a bigger margin. I'm going to start like Donald Trumping this. I would have won by a bigger margin in my year. If you could have gone there, you put Trending Gamer vote into Google. It pops up a little thing in Google. Click on her face. Click Submit Vote. There, you did your part. Congratulations, everybody. Andrea up for Trending Gamer. That, of course, December 7th, a week from Thursday. So we're in the final home stretch here, kind of. Also, there's a new party mode for Nidhogg Up. It is up on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. It went live over the break. A lot of people didn't see it because it went live during the break. Please go watch it. It's hilarious, and I love it very, very much. Nidhogg 2, correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Thanks for keeping me honest.
Yeah.
Don't need to go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong, everybody. Chuff Money's here to keep me straight.
Definitely.
Also, I need to tell you we're brought to you by Lisa.com and Omaha Steaks today, but I'll tell you all about the deals later. And then finally, as Anthony brought up, he has a sick dog.
Yeah, Shasta got cancer in her leg, and that's what made it hard, is that it's here. So they can't cut enough to get margins that they would want. You know, like when they cut cancer, they like to cut way too much extra out, just to make sure. So between that and becoming suddenly unemployed, she needs like the surgery, which we already did, but then she's going to need a bunch of chemotherapy, and they're going to actually do like experimental chemotherapy on her. Well, I guess it's not that experimental, but she's going to need localized chemotherapy, pill chemotherapy. It's really expensive.
Sure.
Much more money than I currently have at the
course.
moment. But as I told the doctor and I told Greg earlier, just like you were talking about with Porty, like when the time comes and the doctor's like, you know, it's going to cost this much, you're like, yeah, as my fiance said at one point, she said, just tell him I'll give him my left nut. That's what she said. I was like, all right, I understand where she's coming from. We will literally, like, what do we got to do? Sell our cars? We'll do whatever we have to do to, like, save this dog's life.
In the heat of getting laid off, this happens.
Yeah.
You've been out there streaming, trying to raise money on your GoFundMe page.
Yeah, which we've done.
Yeah, you're $2,000 short of your goal.
Yeah.
Everybody, I need you to go to bit.ly/Anthony Doggy, DOGGIE, all lowercase.
Yeah.
$2,000. We can get that done. And what I'd like you to do, if you're watching live on Twitch, don't tip us, don't sub to us during this show. Instead, take your $5 over to bit.ly/Anthony Doggy. Donate that there. We can crush this and no problem get a little bit of happiness to Anthony Gallegos' life.
I have plenty of happiness coming in from other places.
He's a very sad boy. He's down on his luck. There's rumors the fiance might leave him over all this. So I would just say, this is your shot to do it. Let's move on to happier news in the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, Marvel Heroes laid off a bunch of people.
Yeah, it sure did.
So
the day before Thanksgiving.
You were working there, Gazillion.
Yes, I was.
You are no longer working there.
No.
Yeah.
No one, as far as I know. I don't even know what that company exists in
You don't know
shape or
who's
form.
actually in the building anymore?
Yeah.
Let me give you the rundown. Of course, we had talked about Marvel Heroes a lot here on the show. I'm a fan of it. Obviously, Anthony, a friend of ours and a friend of mine, and been on the show promoting the game before. We knew before we went on break that Marvel Heroes was shutting down. It was going to be the 31st. They closed down this, or December 31st. They closed down the servers. It's gone forever. Then, we went off the air Tuesday. Wednesday, they were just like, hey, everybody's fired, and there's no PTO, and there's no medical stuff for you anymore.
And the game's shutting down Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to kick it over to Kotaku to read what they put up there. Gazillion, the studio behind the embattled Marvel Heroes, has apparently been shut down today. This obviously is published on Wednesday, with all staff laid off the day before Thanksgiving. As a result, the game will also be closing early. Originally due to end in December, it'll now cease operations on Friday. That's the previous Friday. Multiple former employees have taken to Twitter to discuss or announce the layoffs, which come not long after Disney's decision to end its relationship with the developer. Making matters worse, ex-Gazillion staff are also reporting that they're not even paid their severance or PTO, and that their medical insurance will end next week. All that's correct? Or what can't, I don't want to put you in a weird spot.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I had 2 weeks of vacation at a time that I was counting on getting an extra paycheck out of, and then didn't get that. My understanding is the legality of that, and in California, it's actually like vacation time is wages, as you may know as a business owner. You have to pay that out when someone leaves or fired or whatever. But I think because they're going through some sort of bankruptcy or something like that,
they can get around it.
They have to pay. Yeah, like when you're in bankruptcy, you pay creditors first, and then you have all these other people, and PTO is like down the line. Like it's not guaranteed.
Gotcha.
So we got told like a week and a half before we got laid off that we were being furloughed, which is like where you're basically told to not work and you don't get paid, but you're not fired. State jobs do that all the time. And they told us the furlough would happen while they try and figure out the financials and see if we were going to get rehired. Meanwhile, though, they were like, don't work unless you're going to work on a resume. That's like kind of the wording they use. I was like, oh, okay.
Gotcha.
That sends a pretty clear signal. So, then after the first week, they're like, check on Friday. And we checked on Friday, and it was like, hey, you're still being furloughed. We're still looking for our hero story, whatever that means. And then on Wednesday,
someone to save the company, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. And then on Wednesday, my old boss emails me and is like, hey, there was a company message. And that's all he said. And then I checked it and was like, hey, we have to terminate everybody. So, I mean, yeah, the long story short is that we lost our contract in October, I think.
To Marvel Heroes?
Yeah. And so when we lost the ability to work, to run it, I think they were trying to negotiate something to bring it back.
Sure.
But and I should be clear, this isn't like a Disney's the bad guy thing. Like, there were obligations that Gazillion had in this contract, and something must have not worked out. Yeah. And so Marvel had pulled the plug. Like, it's just business. Like, I'm sure there was something that was like, if you don't do this, then we pull the plug. Okay, 100%. That's how it goes. It is a shame, though, because there was, like, all this stuff, like, waiting. Like, literally all we had to do was hit the button. Like, I had this character, Gladiator Thor, who was, like, from the Thor movie. And he was our first time we were going to release a new version of an existing character, Thor, except that he had, like, only had one lightning power basically, and other than that he was all weapons. So he looked really weird. He only had like, I think like 6 powers. He had very few powers compared to any other heroes. Like most powers have like 20. But his whole thing was he would throw his weapons, and when he'd throw his weapons, his 6 powers would completely change. So he'd pull out a 2-handed axe that he would use in the movie, and then all those 6 powers would be different. He'd throw it and pull out 2 swords, totally different power set. He'd throw it mace and shield, totally different power set.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and he could call Hulk down and stuff like that to fight alongside him.
Damn it.
It was called Friend from Work. Like, I was all happy about the names I put on all these powers and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we had that. We had new costumes we had all this stuff. Like I said, Locked. We had Spider-Woman. Like, that was someone that we were like ready to put out as a full playable. Yeah. And so, like, there was cool stuff that we had ready to go, and we just weren't, unfortunately, able to pull the trigger on any of it. And
again, I want to be clear to you and the viewers that we haven't talked ahead of time about this. So if I get into anything you can't talk about or don't want to, please shut me down.
Totally, yeah.
Did you, would you say you knew but like, you talk about the contract in October goes away, or it's going, but you're still negotiating, trying to get it back and all these different things. As a fan on the other side, not talking to you, only being on the subreddit and seeing the most hardcore people talk about it, I knew something was up. The community updates had stopped this, that, and the other. Was that your first canary in the coal mine that something was wrong, or had this been communicated throughout time that like, hey, things are...
Yeah, a month before we even lost the ability to communicate, because I think when we lost the contract, we stopped communicating with the community. And
as you'd assume, and this is I know the audience was angry at the time. I assume you'd have to, right?
I don't know if we had to, but that was at least the word going down was like, hey, don't comment on things for now until we know better.
Yeah.
And so even, trust me, it was painful for the employees too to sit there and watch people getting mad, and I'm just like, I wish I could tell you things are going. Just like there are plenty other times that I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell you why a certain thing happened a certain way. Yeah. Like in the end, a lot of it is like, we're trying to make the best game we can, but there are literally times that we're like hamstrung by business. Yeah. But yeah, we knew beforehand things weren't great. We had layoffs the months before. That didn't make any news cycles because it was like 30 people for us, which is pretty huge, but it wasn't like something that got out there. You
Gotcha.
know? It was probably like 25% of our company. Wow. And so we knew when, you know, our CEO was telling us that we were right sizing, which is like we were not making the amount of money to support the size staff that we had, which is always, like you said, it's not a great sign, right? Yeah. We launched the game on consoles hoping that would give us a new revenue stream, which it did, but it did not. I don't think it ever met projections.
Sure.
So,
okay.
And because then we weren't making that money, I don't think, you know, obviously you don't go bankrupt because things are going great. So yeah.
Good point.
It's, we knew for a while. I think a lot of us were just hoping that they'd be able to pull it out. Plus, you know, as we had announced at some point, we had another game that we were starting to work on. I think people were like, oh, they're pulling all these resources from Marvel Heroes. It was not like that at all. It was literally two people sitting at a desk over there, and they were still being pulled on to work on Marvel Heroes stuff. They were just kind of like hitting up a prototype and being like, what if we started working on this really rough prototype and some concept art that we could then shop around to people and be like, would you be interested in working with us on this?
Sure.
And so, but I think the studio was really trying to figure out what would it be like if we weren't just a one game studio, which was something that like I feel like they always struggled with.
Right. Yeah.
So, a lot of the, you know, it sucks. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
would you say you were then shocked on Wednesday, or like I don't, you know, things aren't going well. You've been furloughed, which is a bad sign.
I thought when we were being furloughed in that meeting, I thought we were about to be shut down at the time. Mm-hmm. So, I think a lot of us were kind of, I mean, there was a lot of gallows humor going on very openly. Like, honestly, when the Telltale stuff went down and all those people lost their jobs, we were openly in our Slack sharing, like, here's the list of all the people that are hiring. And they hadn't even furloughed us or anything at that point.
Yeah.
We were all just like everyone,
writing's on the wall.
I mean, literally everyone was like, there were people that would be walking around talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to go interview here. And like, even some of our bosses had been like, you know, if you go interview, just like, let us know, I guess. But like it was very clear that like there was a loss of faith that things were going to necessarily work out. That being said, there were some people who definitely held the faith because the company had been through really bad times time and time again. But yeah, I mean, everyone had it did not catch anyone totally off guard. It wasn't like when they told us you're being furloughed, everyone was like, everyone was,
they're dropping coffee mugs.
What actually happened was someone asked, if I quit right now, can I get my PTO? Like that's the type of questions that were being asked, you know. It wasn't
what was the answer? Could they?
No.
Oh, damn it.
So
they thought everything.
Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate turn of events for them. But you know, that they tried. I think the biggest shame of it, outside of you know, the employees not getting their PTO or anything like that, no severance, which sucks, is that for the people that bought it on console, like they had the game in March and now it's gone. Yeah, like that sucks.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like,
and that's what I think personally. I haven't lost perspective on, but it's Marvel Heroes I've been playing for so long. I've been playing it since launch, right? And I talk about buying the Founders Pack after Brevik was on up at noon.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, oh, it's finally on consoles, great. And I prestiged Spider-Man, got real close with Lady Thor. I think I had a couple other characters, and it was that awesome. This is fun, and it's reminding me, and it's the game's changed even since I last played it a year ago. Yeah. But it wasn't like, oh right, like if you've never played it, there's so much to get out of this, and you don't have that time.
Yeah, it was definitely. You'd be surprised though, like how few people, especially console gamers, they didn't ever cross the divide and go try it on PC. Yeah. So it was a lot of people that were like, for them, it was a completely new experience. Yeah. And we worked hard to like try and make it as good on console as we could, with time and budget constraints. You know, internally there was always stuff that were like,
of course,
like we had our 6-month plan written on the wall, and it included like, you know, new raids and new you know, UI work, and going to continue to change the way certain things function to make them feel better. Like we were always,
of course,
painfully aware of all that. You know, are we going to add team ups into the console game? Like that was something we had always been debating. So It is what it is. It sucks. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is that there's those 2 finished characters that people aren't ever going to get to see, and one of which was largely built by an intern who worked with us for the summer. And I was like, "Oh man, you finished up this character. We're gonna ship her, and people are gonna go get to see your work. Isn't that gonna be so cool?" Nope. Welcome to the games industry. So, yeah.
So that's a question for you too. I think is that you've made this jump of you worked at IGN, then you went to Zombie, then you went to Gazillion, or was there stuff?
No, I
in
worked
between?
at a place called Z2 Live at the time. They were a mobile studio, pretty successful, and then they were bought by King.
Okay.
So
you talk about welcome to the games industry. Like, has it been hard for you to keep going? Like, because it is that thing for us and what you used to do at IGN, but like for Kind of Funny Games Daily of reporting on the layoffs and this year in particular, there's been this slew of them right now, and talking, and some people have written in as like, oh, well, it's so bad it seems, and it's like it's not as bad as it used to be. When I do remember it being like, all right, cool, 25% is gone from everybody as soon as everything ships on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like, is there a sword of Damocles always hanging over your head as a developer?
I guess so, in the sense that like.
So why do you fucking do it?
two of the 3 studios I've worked at during my time don't exist anymore, right? Like Zombie doesn't exist anymore. Gazillion doesn't really exist anymore. Z2 I think barely exists after their King acquisition.
Yeah.
So it's like I do it because I still want a chance to make really cool games.
Yeah.
I got to work on some games at Zombie that were so. There was Blacklight, I like Daylight. I was unhappy with it. That was a really hard thing, actually. Doing that transition was really hard because then people were like, "Oh, I love IGN and you worked on Daylight. I'm going to buy it." And I was like, maybe wait for reviews. Like, let's just see how that goes.
Let's see how it pans out.
And then, but I do it because there are so many games out there that seem really cool. And now that I like understand how games are made, like I do love working on problems. That's really what game development is, especially in design and engineering, I'm sure too, and a lot, I guess every department ends up doing it to some degree, artists especially too, is like, we have 4 days and we have this problem. This character doesn't feel right. How do we fix that?
Yeah.
And that was like something like, we'd get feedback from Test Center on like a character and it'd be like, they don't feel good. Like Ultron, I remember, was like, his ult doesn't feel good. And so we're like, what if we just we're not going to change anything. It's going to keep doing the same shit. We're just going to add crazy more visuals to it. And that was like, everyone's like, I fucking
Feels
love
great.
it now.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
okay. And that was something that was like manageable. Solving problems is always cool. Like actually the other day I saw a job, to derail for a second, a WWE job that was a commentary designer. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a terrible job, like designing commentary for WWE. But then as me and my old boss started talking about it, I was like, oh, it actually is a really cool problem. Like then I'm thinking about like, if the player does X grab and does this much damage and they already have this much health, I should play this line versus, and so that's where the problem solving comes in. You're like, oh, that actually is a really cool problem
like fun,
to solve.
yeah.
And so I've discovered that that's something I really like doing after I left IGN, solving problems, and game development to me still holds that appeal to me. Is it scary always having the accent? Totally. Like I think about that all the time, like going to work for a big studio, like no place is safe, like EA
Sure.
or even Activision or every big company out there, they do regular
You name
layoffs.
it, yeah.
Like EA just shut down Visceral, right? So it's like, it happens wherever you go. My fiance's asked me that before too, like, geez, this industry is like really unstable. But my hope is that, I think every designer out there is hoping that someday you're going to be able to work on your own game.
Yep.
And that's, I feel like I have some great games I want to make and I want to help people make great games. Like that's just it. Like I don't have to make my own game, but if I get to help and have good creative input on a game that I can really be proud of, then that's something that I still just, that's what I want to do. Like that's what drives me to do it. And ideally someday I would get to work for a company where I had some ownership in it. Like,
Sure, of course.
As you know, that changes everything. Like
Yeah,
when you get to do your own thing. So yeah, for now it's definitely the path. I can't see myself doing anything else at this point.
Nice.
Like stuff like people have asked me like, go back to the press thing, do these things.
Go
like,
back to comedy button.
Yeah,
There's a question here later
do
about it.
Giant Bomb or something
yeah.
like that. And I'm like, I could, but like I feel like I've taken a step towards development, and I don't want to give up on that at this point.
That's awesome.
So.
Question: Your fiance, said it's unstable. This is so weird, and I know it's an oxymoron. No, that's not right. I know it sounds stupid. Is it unstable, or is the fact that there's going to be layoffs, does that make it stable? Because it feels like when there are layoffs, in like you're talking about Telltale, there are #whatever game jobs, and there is a Google spreadsheet, and there are all these other people looking at it.
Yeah, I guess it just feels a little bit unstable in the sense that like, when was the last time you've heard of someone that worked at a company for like 8 years or something like that.
For video games, yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
rare.
happen,
Yeah.
right? And so it just is unstable in the sense that like I think it's still an industry on that side in producing games in particular that is tough to have a family. Like, you know, like me and my fiance, we've talked about having kids and stuff like that. And so it's like, I don't know, like I was very fortunate. Gazillion was not a company that was like, you got to fucking crunch.
Sure.
And so like, am I going to end up at a studio like that where I'm not going to see her? And how's that going to like affect us? Or like, am I going to, you know, that part of it's always a little unstable. And then, like you said, like, are we going to have to move every 2 years? Like, that's something I'm trying not to do. Sometimes it feels like actually, it feels nothing like being in the military. But growing up in the military, you always had friends. My dad was in the military. You always had friends that were moving and stuff like that because their dad got deployed. And so it's a little bit like that where it's like, you know, like, oh, where's so-and-so? Oh, well, they're in Austin. And then a year later, hey, I'm in San Diego. Oh, hey, I'm moving out to, you know, North Carolina. And you're just like, I don't know, man. It'd be like I have friends at this point, I'm sure you do too, where it's like, you know, we're in the age where people are like, I'm buying a house. And I'm like, I can't even fathom that because I don't know where I'm going to be. Like, exactly. You know, and so I'm just like, I don't know. It's hard. That's what feels unstable about it is like not having like, it's not like my dad where he was like, I'm going to work at this company until I retire and have a pension.
Yep.
And this is where I'm going to put down my roots. I'm like, I have no clue where I'm going to be. Yeah. You know, so I guess the unstable part about it is that so many businesses still operate game to game and this game must sell or else we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, we're out in the wind.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a few places like Double Fine actually manages to like not put all their eggs in one basket. So when one game like Massive Chalice doesn't do well, they're not like, oh, we got to pack it up.
Which was a great game and you should have played.
Yeah, but they're not like we have to pack it up. Yeah, right. They're like,
and that's because they wrote their own legacy with that Kickstarter, right? Where you talk to Tim or you hear stories from there, and it sounds like before then, but you know, it was kind of like we're rolling the dice on this thing because that we're not going to be around if we keep doing what we've been
like something
doing.
Like a Big Brutal Legend for them. That was like all the bets are on it, you know. And then after that, I think they diversified their portfolio a lot. Like, you know, that you always hear about them doing the Amnesia Fortnite and stuff. Yeah. But they have like 5 projects going on. Insomniac, another developer that like top 5 places to work. Sure, like that's one that I think I always look at because
every tweet at Ted Price.
Sure.
Get at Chuff Money
or at Brian Intihar. I used to work with him. Now he's in charge of Spider-Man.
Oh, great point. Yeah, okay. And you know Marvel, Brian. This is an easy thing, and also put a release date in your fucking game.
But yeah, it's like it's crazy. You know, like when you look at them, they always have like 6 things going on. Like, oh, hey, we put out a bunch of Oculus stuff. Yep. Also, we have this thing being published by GameStop. Yep. Also, we have the Spider-Man deal going on in the background. We did this Microsoft first party. Like
someone there's working on a Ratchet and Clank for Sony.
Yeah, sure. And they're just all over the place. And like that to me, like that's stability.
That's health. Yeah.
That's like a company that's been around forever, and they're not beholden to Sony, though they have a great partnership, right? Yeah. But they're not like we only work on Sony games. They can do other platform stuff. No one hates them. They're super flexible. That flexibility is something that I think every developer out there is like, oh man, I want to work at a place like that. Yeah. You know, like that's awesome.
Well, that's awesome. You're going to be fine. You know that you're going to be fine.
I'm going to be fine. Actually, I have a ton of people, like I said, between the GoFundMe that people have been super generous to.
I mean, bit.ly/Anthony Doggy.
or GoFundMe.com/Heel Shasta is
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
So I didn't know he had a bit.ly. Sorry. Huh.
It's okay. But like between all that, which has been absurd, by the way, we were like, haha, if we put this up and get $1,000, wouldn't that be like really helpful? Yeah. And then like getting what we have, I'm just like, that is like really nice after not getting PTO and stuff like that. Yeah. And like enduring everything else. But like, you know, I've had so many people and plus just people reaching out like, hey, do we have opportunities here? I'm like, you're emailing me about opportunities? Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, yeah. And sometimes it's like, hey, I used to listen to IGN and now I'm a recruiter at Activision. I'm like, what?
Nice.
Like, perfect. Like,
yeah.
So
I mean, one best friend hit me up, right? And like, hey, I think Anthony might be good for this job we're hiring for. Can you put me in touch with him? Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean?
Like I said, like, if anything, you know, I don't think that, you know, like any studio I worked with some people who were good and some people were not good.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I have an unfair advantage when it comes to that. Like I have a lot of people looking out for me, which is like really great. So.
One final salient point to this story about Marvel Heroes and it being shut down is the fact that the rumor was it would go offline on Friday and it's still just online. I assume they laid off everybody who would turn it off.
I mean, the people I know of that seem like they would have been the people that would have known how to throw the switch short of just turning off power to the server farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
There's all sorts of rumors that it would maybe shut down today. Again, these are all Reddit threads that I'm following from the fan site. Tinfoil hats, can I platinum the game, people? Because I'm one of you. And it was, maybe it goes offline today is the new rumor that it'll go offline Monday.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people hopping on Friday because they're like, oh, one last hurrah. Yeah. I want to be here when the servers go. And I was like, I have no interest in doing any of that.
Yeah.
I have like so many thousands of hours logged in that game. I'm like, I'm fine.
You've made your peace.
I sunset that game a while ago.
I jumped in there on Friday as well, and I was running around, and I did the whole thing of like, I had the thing of like, should I try to platinum this? And I looked and I was like, no, I shouldn't, because I got to like, let's make a legendary thing and get
I just
XP.
checked
like,
my email to make sure that I had like had my accounts removed. I have. Otherwise, I totally was like, I should just remote in, throw Greg like $80 bajillion and give him whatever he wants.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Anybody still there? We go ahead and do it. Number 2 on the Roper Report. While all that Marvel Hero stuff happened, Destiny had a whole bunch of problems as well. I'm going to read the IGN article, but then give you the perspective that I think they missed. Basically, here's the IGN article. The way experience gains scale in Destiny 2 is being changed. In a post on its official website, Bungie acknowledged the issues with XP gain in Destiny 2, noting it's been a discussion point among the community as well as the studio. Quote, after reviewing our data, we agree that the system is not performing the way we'd like it to, end quote, the developer said. As such, Bungie is deactivating its system, which has XP scale up when playing for long or fixed duration activities like raids or competitive Crucible matches, and scale down when playing shorter activities like public events. So, what does this mean for players? According to Bungie, quote, players will see XP earn rates change for all activities across the board, but with all values being displayed consistently in the user interface. The developer will look over XP game data gathered in the coming week to make sure the changes are up to the community and Bungie's standards. That is all correct. The point that IGN misses in this article is that Bungie's only responding to this because on the Destiny subreddit, a fan was like, hey, we've all said this doesn't feel right. I've gone through and run multiple tests. They're lying to us about how much XP they're giving us. Where it was saying if you were farming the same public events over and over again, it was telling you it was giving you this amount of XP. It wasn't. It was lessening the amount of XP it was giving.
I wish I could say that I've never known anything like that to happen.
Yeah.
But I've definitely, at my time working at Marvel Heroes, I feel okay saying it now, that at one point there was definitely time people were like, this is totally wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we just buffed it. And that's all we said. We did not buff it. And people were like, it feels awesome now.
Oh.
And we were like, we literally just had to say that we buffed it.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh yeah, it feels great now. And I was like, I knew that we did that sometimes as a test of like, is it actually a problem? Or is it literally just your perception?
Sure,
that is actually an issue.
This one was really a problem.
Yes.
This one was really statistically able to be proven if you sat there and ran through it. So I don't understand why, I'm not trying to knock IGN or anything. It was just an interesting thing. The problem was that IGN is the most succinct source on it, whereas Polygon and everybody else was really into the weeds on it. And I don't need to go into the stats to tell you what they were finding was wrong. It's just interesting that, they were doing this behind the scenes. And as one user put it, I think on Reddit, it was just like, if you're going to lessen the XP gain because of this, that's fine. You got to tell us that.
Yeah, sure.
As somebody who, no pat on my own back, Platinum Destiny this weekend. Platinum Destiny 2 finally. When I was sitting there farming public events, like I would have done it a different way if I knew there was a faster way to do it, or a more, not even a faster way, a more competent way. You know what I mean? A way that was giving me better results than that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, it does. I know what I just said, where we literally said we buffed something we didn't. But that being said, I do agree that you have to be honest with your community about like if something could be mathematically proven, just say, exactly how it works.
Yeah, good to see Destiny respond, but Fran Mirabella on Twitter.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, Fran took off the gloves, and he has been swinging hard at Bungie on all this stuff this week. So good for you, Fran. But yeah, just talk about it, I guess, in a different sense. Worth noting, as we were going live to do today as well, they announced that a free trial for Destiny 2 starting on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC on November 28th. That's tomorrow, Tuesday. Just a heads up for you there.
I have not played any Destiny 2.
You should, it's fun.
Yeah, I get it. I know it's fun. I tried the first one, didn't really love it, and at this point, all I can play is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Super Mario. So I'm still obsessed.
And I'll give you that. I will give you that those are both great games as well.
Yes.
Hold on. Here we go. I got somebody who I'm queuing up a question.
Next story is
about Destiny.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I like to pepper them in when they make sense or whatever. Cool, right? TheNoisyElk wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD just like you can and says, "What's good, you beautiful bastards? I wanted to write in and tell the world, or at least the Kinda Funny Games daily listeners, that I have given up on Destiny 2. I really enjoyed the campaign and have loved grinding my way up to level 300. However, it seems to me that as soon as you hit 300, in terms of progression at least, Bungie has decided that it wants to fuck you in the ass at every available opportunity. Taking Iron Banner as an example, I've put God knows how many hours into it, all in hope of getting one complete armor set. In that time, I have received no fewer than 5 duplicate helmets, 3 duplicate chest pieces, and 2 duplicate leg pieces. It feels like the way the game is designed just doesn't respect the time I'm putting into it, and it has really put me off playing. Do you guys have any similar experiences? Is this the way games are going now with more and more of these R&D systems? Love all you do. TheNoisyElk, Wales, UK. Oi, governor. Seriously, no one says that.
I bet you if we were to check that guy's latest PlayStation status, he's probably logged in or just logged in Destiny.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I used to see the same thing about Diablo 3 where people were like, fuck this game forever, or even Marvel Heroes, it'd be like 2,000 hours logged and they'd be like, I hate this game now, and you're just like, well, like, but it is tough with Destiny because it straddles this weird spot where people want it to be an MMO, but it's not quite an MMO, but it is so much like an MMO, so people expect the experience to go on forever. That being said, balancing an item system like that where you're expecting in-game rewards, that is an incredibly difficult task. And knowing at which rate to dole them out, like, I don't know how much time he actually put into it, but as far as similar experiences, I used to play EverQuest a lot, and I remember there was one time that I wanted this mace.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it could do, but I was trying to get it for my alt. So me and 2 of my friends on our mains went to this one spot, and in EverQuest, it wasn't like all these other games like Destiny where you went into an instance necessarily, and you were like, haha, we're here, and we can just run this guy, and he'll drop a thing. He might drop a thing, and then if we don't, like, this was, you went to an area, anybody could roam in there, you might have to PvP them, and there were 6 things there, and these 6 things that spawned, like, every 20 minutes could drop this thing. So we were sitting there for 14 hours straight, killing these things every 20 minutes, trying to get this mace. Yeah. And, like, I just remember, like, you know, sitting greasy in my underwear, like, eating nothing but white rice because that's all I had. And I was like, I can't leave the house. We have to be here for these fucking spawns.
Yeah. Did you get it?
Yeah, after like 14 hours. Yeah. But, like, that's I've been there with the time investment feeling like it's fucking you over with the drop rates. Like,
the problem I'm feeling with that, because I see a lot of people complain about Destiny 2 versus Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And I was with you, where I played Destiny 1, I beat the campaign, and then literally it was like, all right, let's grind up our power level. And I looked down and I was like, oh, this is DC Universe Online. And I've done this, and I know what it's like to go for power armor, and I'm not about 700 hours again, as I did in DC. Destiny 2, I feel, and maybe I'm just wrong, write in kindafunny.com / not to your wrong, KFGD. We'll have a conversation about Destiny 2. I felt twisted it to a more lack of, and I know it's an insulting word, casual feel, where I platinum Destiny 2, and I felt the ride to platinum was fun, obtainable the entire way. I'm light level 302 now, and I never, like, I know the people who are light level 305, like on day 4 or whatever, were like grinding on their second character, they're doing this and getting this, like, I didn't feel like I ever had to do any of that shit. I feel like I've gotten rewarded, but I don't get, I'm not looking for the reward that the TheNoisyElk is of, I want my entire set to match. I'm like, I want us all be the same color. I'm like, my arms look dumb, but in the next update, I'm sure they'll put out new arms and they'll do this.
Yeah, it is tough because I'm sure they did trying to make it appeal a little bit more to casuals. Yeah. Like, we did the same thing with Marvel Heroes, moving from PC to console. Like, you know, like trying to take down the amount of usable powers and stuff because we found that like only the most expert players could actually sit there and manage 2 power bars and shit like that. Yeah. And you do want to do that, especially, I imagine, with something as big as Destiny, because the expectation is Destiny 1 sold this many, Destiny 2 should sell more. Yeah. And so that's a tough thing to hit, especially if you're like, well, the games, if they did, I'm sure they did ample focus testing and stuff. And people were like, the shooting's just so hard. I like the idea of the game, but I'll never play it. And they're like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do about this fucking demographic? Because that's 5% of the market, which is in the sales. So that is a tough thing.
I think it was Polygon that put up a piece a week or 2 after Destiny 2, but when this whole rigmarole started of people being like, oh, it's not giving me the same rewards, I don't feel compelled to play it. Their piece was basically like, you shouldn't feel compelled to play this, and that's a good thing. Like, this is a game that you can pop in and in 5 hours over a week, put in everything you needed to put in and feel like you can move on to the next game.
Right.
Which isn't the same way Destiny 1 was, where it was,
I
let's
feel
grind nonstop.
Yeah, and then that's how Destiny 2 is for now. But
Exactly.
Like they've always done a good job of supporting their games, so it's like when the next patch comes out, when the raid comes out, is it going to be like, I think people have a little bit of like shiny goggles about Destiny 1 in the sense that like Destiny 1 for the first year was not a game that people were like super into. And then but when Taken King came out, everyone was like, oh, it's now finally the game I always wanted it to be. Yeah. And so I could see something similar working out for Destiny.
And it's worth pointing out in all the messaging they put out from Bungie about this, we're dialing the XP, doing this stuff. They talked about this week when they put out their next announcement, they're going to talk about items, in-game economy, and all this different stuff, as well as what's coming for Osiris next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more to come on that, but I hear you. I just really fucking love Destiny 2. But last night I did the opposite, where I sat for hours yesterday, had coffee, had Porty next to me, had Jen next to me, read comics. And I was like, fuck, I really want to play DC Universe Online again. And in my head, I'm like, it's 700, 800 hours of that game. And I'm like, I know that I'm going to have no fucking idea what's going on.
Yep.
I installed it. I jumped back in. And sure enough, I'm like, they've changed everything. Like, it's not even like, oh, get your might up anymore. It's like, no, we did away with all that. It's all skill points. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I sat there for an hour reattributing skill points, and then I just turned it off. I didn't even go out on a mission. I'm like, all right, she's ready to go. Taylor Swift's ready to go if I want to, but not right now. Number 3 on the Roper Report. This is a fascinating interview.
Indeed.
Gamesindustry.biz has with Square Enix president and CEO Matsuda Son. It's called, though, Why Square Let IO Keep Hitman. Let me read you a whole bunch of stuff before we get to the answer on that, though. Quote, these are all quotes. In the case of Hitman, I personally loved the game. I think it's very unique, but I always have to look at things from the perspective of what it costs us to develop it and the performance it delivers. In doing that, in the case of Hitman, we had several expectations where that balance was not sufficiently achieved. Whether it's our Western studios or Japanese studios, at Square Enix, we sometimes end up with conflicts or shortages in terms of resources. I felt that if we were not able to continue sufficiently investing in Hitman, it could wind up ruining the game. So we found ourselves in a difficult position. A decision had to be made in terms of our relationship with the Hitman team. I wanted them to continue to develop the game, but I thought in terms of investing further in the game, it would be best if they worked with another partner other than ourselves. First off, awesome. What a super great, honest answer from a guy who likes the games. Like, well, we can't support it.
I feel like we would never get an answer like that, hardly ever.
Yeah, because if you remember, of course, IO and Square, they split. And then, and the weirdest thing was that they gave Hitman to IO, which is like, why would you give up your IP?
Yeah.
Gamesindustry.biz, being great reporters, asked that question. Why hand over the reins to a still valuable IP? Quote, it's because I believe it wouldn't be Hitman unless it was Hitman made by IO. I love the game, and I believe the fans of Hitman think it's only Hitman if it's made by IO. So I thought that was the best way for the game to continue, and that's why we were supportive of the MBO and, of course, didn't mind if they continued to use the IP.
That's crazy. People do not hand over IPs.
No.
If anything, I would have seen them doing like, we'll sell it to you for very cheap, or we will license it to you, and you can make it, and now it will be a Square Enix published game developed out of your own funds or something, and we'll just handle like the console side publishing or something.
Yeah,
like,
I thought for sure, like, and this is just me being not good at business and not understanding Square Enix, obviously, not understanding what Masuda is. You'd think, yeah, we're not going to give you this IP. We're going to sit on this. We're going to camp on this. And I'm sure money was involved, obviously.
Right,
they
like,
sold it to them. But
the other way I would expected this to go is like 2 years from now, Square Enix would put out a game called Hitman Online, and it's like a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, IO is putting out Killer Guy.
Yep,
something
exactly,
like that.
exactly, right? It's you're a new assassin, Agent 49, and like you're doing this thing.
Yeah, no, that's so great. I mean, I think the Hitman game's phenomenal. Actually, the last Hitman that came out, seriously, one of
the seasonal one, yeah,
the
that
seasonal
was great.
one. Like I sat on it for a while because I was like, one episode, and then when the whole season was out, I played through it. I was like, what is truly like special game.
Game of the year just came out for that, and not that I'm trying to sell you on it. Of course, full disclosure, we've worked on Hitman panels and stuff like that before, but
yeah, full disclosure, I've been paid by Square Enix in the past.
They heard I was coming on, and I said I was going to talk about Hitman. Number 4, Sony's going to shut down Demon's Souls online services. This is via IGN. Sony is shutting down the online service for Demon's Souls early next year. According to a post by the Dark Souls team made on Twitter, online servers will terminate February 28th, 2018. After the shutdown, online cooperation and invasions will no longer be possible, and helpful or trolling messages from other players will no longer appear. Bloodstains, which show the way other players have died, will no longer be available.
I'm kind of surprised that it was still online to begin with.
Yeah, hard to... Well, I mean, it's like one of those... That's such a small online thing, but it was such a big deal
at the time. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Jim Riley.
We have the other Dark Souls to go on. So
there's plenty.
When it came
to
Demon's Souls, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
and
but it was such a critically acclaimed game, had such a fan base. You assume there was people still playing it, being crazy about it.
Oh yeah, it sucks that if like you pick it up in a bargain bin a couple years from now, you won't have that aspect of it because you'll be like, still get the great game that it was, but that was such a watershed moment for that. You know?
Well, and that's the whole thing is like, and I think something that was sparked by Marvel Heroes closure, right? Of like, what does this mean long term for games that have online components, right? Like Marvel Heroes can't be played when it shuts down.
I mean, you should always read the terms. Well, I say you should always read the terms of service. No one does. But just to be clear, almost every game you buy says you do not own this game. You are licensing it from the publisher. You know, even a game that you paid $60 for, the terms of service, like on Steam, like they could just take it away because they're like, it's in our terms of service that we can take this game away from you. You have been leasing it basically from us for the $60. So yeah, it's a weird time that like a lot of times with a lot of games, you don't own them. Or like you said, they're so reliant on the online component. It's like Battlegrounds is here. But if Battlegrounds were to shut down its servers, like there would be no more Battlegrounds. It's not like you'd be able to go and play on your own. I guess you could set up a local thing, maybe, but like otherwise, there's no online.
Through a lot of hook or crook, you could figure it out. Yeah.
But it's like it would basically be dead for the average person. Yeah. So, it's
a weird spot to be in games, right? Because right now, if I go get an NES and I get whatever game I want to put in the NES, it's going to work.
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, could we put Marvel Heroes on an offline version, like, and have it as like?" I was like, I have no clue how you could do that. Yeah. Like the online stuff, I literally just don't see how that could ever work. Not without paying someone to basically spend a year doing it. Yeah. So sad.
You're up to the task.
It's sad. Yeah. I do have the time.
Final story is a super short one. Number 5, Eric Lempel from Sony, of course, popped up on Yahoo Finance and said, this is just a past story thing, that this Black Friday was the biggest Black Friday ever for PlayStation. They sold more consoles than they ever have in their 22-year history.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy, especially when you consider like how many years the PlayStation 2 was still selling really well at a really cheap price point.
Yeah.
Like I know that I did see some pretty crazy deals on PlayStation 4s. I think I even saw it for like $150.
There's $199. Yeah, that was like their like lowest on just the slim model getting out there.
And actually anecdotally, I'll say that I've known a lot of people who were like, this was the year I finally pulled a trigger on a PlayStation and not only because of the great prices that were going around, but because next year's PS4 lineup looks so good. Yeah, they're like, dude, I've been waiting, and now I'm finally like Last of Us 2, God of War, like I'm in.
This was the year, including myself, where it was like, all right, cool, I'll get a Pro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, all right, this PlayStation's making too much noise and is acting like an asshole. I'm going to get a Pro and replace it. Or so many people upgraded to 4K this year where it was, let's do it. I feel like that's got to be a part of it, that you are getting the people who've never had it, but then other people who are just like, all right, it's the time to upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, and that's cool. Like, that's such a good thing to hear because, going into the PlayStation 4 era and the Xbox era, how many people were like,
last console of all time.
Consoles are going down. They're going to sell less than ever. And it's like,
fuck you.
And I'll say I was a huge skeptic of the Switch too, like to take it in that direction just a little bit. Like everyone was like, the Switch is going to be successful. I was like, I don't know, man. The Wii U did not do good. And it's just been a good time to realize that like, oh, we have all these ecosystems that are like starting to thrive and stuff. I was worried the Switch would go the way of the Vita. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I know this is a Vita supporter. I love my Vita. I still take it with me when I travel and then never turn it on because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll jump back into some game I have.
Dude, it's the weirdest thing now to turn on the Vita and play it, and it feels so small.
Yes.
Because I've been playing with the Switch, and I put this Vita, I'm like, what?
But the Vita, it was like at the time was, I'll just share my own love for it. Ahead of its time, and a remarkable piece of hardware. Oh, yeah. Like, it still is. So, that thing, it's sad that it didn't get, it got good, like, Sony, good on them. They supported it for many years after I feel like other people would have given up on it. But, Greg's dubious, but
Sony gave up on it pretty quick.
But
folks like NAS and Atlas, they're the ones still supporting.
I'm a big handheld person, so like I am really happy to see the Switch doing as well as it is. And not only that, but to see that, like, I'm excited actually. Like, with the PlayStation 4 era, I was like, HD remakes, I hate it. But when it comes to Switch, I'm like,
ooh, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm right there with you. And it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have a layover. Awesome.
Yeah,
switching a power outlet. I'm fine.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that. Now, Anthony, I'm excited about this Destiny 2 Curse of Osiris coming up pretty quick, but it's not here yet.
Yeah.
If I wanted to know what came to the digital mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
You would go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games daily show host each and every weekday.
Yeah. Thanks, Kev.
Out
Good to have you
today,
back.
we have the new 3DS XL SNES edition.
Yeah, right. I saw this one on the video game release thing.
I do not have a new 3DS, and I've been
You don't need one.
thinking about... Oh, you don't think so?
No. I mean, wait, you want to play the Metroid game?
To be clear, I have a launch 3DS.
Are you still playing 3DS games? You got the Switch now.
Yeah,
I feel like this is too little too late.
It's true. I've slowly been chipping away, actually, at Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually one of my fiance's favorite Nintendo series.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the series has
Mario.
2 games. Totally.
Mario.
And I've been slowly chipping away at that. But you're right. By and large, I play Phoenix Wright on it. And at this point, if there's another Phoenix Wright, it's going to come to Switch.
If you're still playing it, I mean, more power to you. Get it.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit I don't often get a lot of that super hardware desire that a lot of people get, where it's like, it's the new shiny thing. I still have a launch PlayStation, a launch Xbox, but a 3DS XL. Occasionally, I'm like, it's right there.
They look cool. They do a good job making everything look cool.
It's true, but I also at this point, for the price of a 3DS XL, I'm like, I could just get a second PlayStation because I have my living room set up and then a setup for another room.
Oh, you got to do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you put 2 PlayStations in the front room. It's great.
Yeah.
Jen's watching Westworld. I'm trying to figure. I'm in tears trying to remember how to play DC Universe.
Wait,
Online.
you guys have the TV side by side?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to wear it down, but then once we had it,
and then what? There, one of you just wears headphones or something like that?
Yeah, it depends on what's happening. Yeah, but when
or you can just play muted if it's something you don't care about.
And that's the thing where it's when I'm playing DC Universe Online, I'm like that. And she's like, "Oh, you can have the big TV." I'm like, "Babe, this game doesn't look great. I don't need to. I don't need to blow it up into everything. Don't worry about
it." That's fair.
Fun game.
We have new dates as well. Hat in Time comes to PS4 and Xbox One on December 6th.
I'm very excited about this one. A Hat in Time, one of my games of E3 before E3 started.
Really?
I saw it Judges Week. Yeah, it was at the Indie Night thing or whatever. You went over there and it's a cute little game that's trying to harken back to Mario 64, and you're changing out your hats to do different powers and have different things platforming around. It's cute. It's funny.
It's tough. The thing about that's tough is how weird is it that that's coming out in the same year as
Mario? Yeah, that was my thing too. Is when I played it at
literally
Judges,
switching hats to do different powers.
When I played at Judges Week, I was like, oh, this is great, and I so need this kind of game. And then Mario came, and I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I got 700 more moons to go after here.
That is tough.
Yeah, that's a rough one for them. The timing could have been better. The PC version beat this version out.
Okay.
So that's the one thing.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know the game we're talking about. I have seen this. I should check it out, though.
It's one of the Humble Bundle ones.
I just finished Mario, or rather, I saw the credits roll Mario, which is not the real end.
Yeah, you guys. All right, deals of the day for you. While we were gone, Xbox announced its December's Games with Gold. On Xbox One, you can get Warhammer End Times Vermintide.
That's an excellent game.
Yeah?
Honestly, that is basically Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
It is a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. Straight up, you are, except with a little bit more melee combat, but it is literally Left 4 Dead. Potions over here, bomb over here, a giant Goliath thing comes out, a rat ogre. It is literally almost class for class in a lot of ways, Left 4 Dead. It is crazy.
No, that's interesting.
Excellent game.
That one will be available for Gold members for free December 1st through the 31st. Then Back to the Future, the game 30th Anniversary Edition comes out December 16th through January 15th for free for Gold
Some
members.
early Telltale, early revival Telltale. I think if you go and play that, you'll definitely see this was when they were still trying to figure out what does this game look like? What does our adventure game
It was very much a transition between, hey, we're doing Sam and Max adventure. How does this iPad turn on the lights? And then it's what a Telltale thing is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because someone, I forget who, was talking to me on Twitter about it this week where they're like, oh, should I get Back to the Future? And I was like, no, don't. Starts off
or Jurassic
great.
Park.
Yeah, that was the one they're asking. I'm like, don't get either of them. And I was totally not railing, but I was Back to the Future starts off really strong, but then they break the universe by the end of it. Don't get it. And then just for the shits and giggles, I went and got my review for the final Back to the Future episode 5, and I gave it a 7. And I'm and I tweeted it with a lol. I'm like, this is the difference between how you talk about games and how you review games.
Yeah.
Of technically nothing's wrong with this game, and it does this, but also in the moment I enjoyed it, I think, more than I look back on now. I just remember it had so much potential.
I feel like it's very easy to look back at games and be critical,
Yeah.
And so that's not an uncommon sentiment.
Of course. Then on Xbox 360, Child of Eden is free the first half of the month, followed by Marlo Briggs and the Mask of Death the second half. Both of these will be playable on Xbox One via backwards compatibility.
Who approved that name, Marlo Briggs and the Mask? I mean, that's the type of game title I would come up with just because it sounds dumb. And I'm like, it's hilariously dumb. But yeah, it's a hard one to get through marketing.
Naming your game is tough. Well, that's probably some indie game, right?
Oh, naming your game is tough. I mean, even Marvel Heroes, when we were going to bring it to console and change the name, because we were like, we got to abandon the year after year thing.
Yeah.
We had a gigantic list. Marvel Heroes Infinite, Marvel Heroes Omega, Marvel Heroes this, Marvel Heroes that. And so...
Well, other than, was it Omega Prestige that made it Omega?
It was that, and also, like, we had Omega System, which replaced the old... Or no, we had the Omega System, I think, and we replaced it with the Infinity System. So... We just, I don't know why we said Omega. Like, literally, we were just trying to attach words on there that kind of made sense.
It's like Omega.
And we couldn't do Infinity because that was too close to, like, Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Stones and all the stuff going on, the cinematic stuff. So we were trying to differentiate a little bit. But
okay.
I have no idea why it ultimately ended up Omega.
Now it's time for reader mail, but first I want to tell you this show is brought to you by Lisa and Omaha Steaks. Now, I said this last week. I hate going to mattress stores. I know. I'm looking you in the eye.
I've never done it.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Jen and I went there when we bought a mattress, and it was like literally what they bitch about in the ad copy.
My last mattress came in a box. That's how I got my mattress.
Damn right, and that's what happens with Lisa. We went to the mattress store. Guy was all weird. Didn't like talking to him.
Lay on this in front of me.
Don't like that at all. Didn't like that at all. But Lisa cuts out the bad guy and takes away the pressure. The Lisa mattress is 100% American made and delivered compressed in a box to your door. It is thoughtfully crafted with high quality materials to create what Lisa calls their universal adaptive feel.
UAF.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you've heard of it. Its 3 foam layers provide support, pressure relief, and cooling that adapts to all body shape, sizes, and sleeping styles. Joey has one, and it's so good, she's still sleeping on it and not at work today. You get a 100-night trial, so if you don't like it, you can send it back to them. They refund your money. Mattresses cost thousands in stores, but Lisa starts at just $525. Plus, you can get $100 off by going to lisa.com/kindafunny and entering the promo code kindafunny. That's Lisa, LEESA.com/kindafunny, promo code kindafunny.
You spend half your life sleeping. Like, mattress is not something you should go cheap on.
Exactly. This is a nice one.
Yeah.
It comes to your door. It's great.
And it's fun. You open the box and it's like...
It's really cool. It's really cool. Now, let's talk about Omaha Steaks. And let me tell you about Omaha Steaks and how. For only $49.99, you can get my family gift pack when you go to omahasteaks.com and enter my code KFGames, all one word, in the search bar. That's 75% off. Now, why would I talk about Omaha Steaks, you might ask, Anthony?
I don't know.
The answer is the holidays are coming up. I bought my dad last year or the year before Omaha Steaks because my number one crane operator, Greg Miller, what are you going to get this guy?
Beef.
Yeah, he sent him beef. I'm shit you not, he was so impressed with these steaks because they're really good.
Yeah.
Kevin, you remember Extra Life?
Yep.
Remember when I barbecued a whole bunch of meat?
Yep.
That was Omaha, wasn't it?
Yep.
How was it?
Great.
Delicious is right. You remember that's what it's all about. Right now, Omaha Steaks is giving an exclusive savings to you, my listeners. Listen to everything that you will get for less than $50. 2 filet mignons, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 kielbasa sausages. Kevin, those are my favorites on the Extra Life stream. 4 burgers. I put them on bagels. Everybody was very impressed with that.
Burgers on bagels?
Yeah. Because we didn't have any buns, so we put them on that.
I know, but maybe you're onto something.
I was onto something.
Kind of funny food truck coming next year.
4 potatoes au gratin, 4 caramel apple tartlets, 1 Omaha steak seasoning packet, plus you get 4 additional kielbasa sausages free. Go to omahasteaks.com and enter my code KFGames in the search bar and get a 75% off savings. It's a gift that's guaranteed to be a
I'll
hit.
be honest, when I go and move food, we end up spending like $100 for a barbecue at our house for like 5 people. That actually is really good.
For real, I was going to say, don't tell my dad,
expensive.
but my dad's not on the internet. I'm just going to get him this again. So don't worry about it.
Didn't he liked it so much he actually got it for you?
I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't put that because I couldn't remember exactly, but now that you say it, I'm pretty sure that, he liked it so much, he sent me back for like my birthday.
I used to be weirded out about getting food over the internet, but between Portillo's and like Lou Giamatti's or whatever, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, no, it's great. You're one of these PC gaming dorks.
It's always been actually a huge advantage for me in my career. So, I mean, literally at IGN, that's what got helped me have a job because I was like, people are like, who plays these games? I'm like,
nobody understands Minecraft. You're like, I played a lot of it.
Yeah.
Ryan Turford wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says,
Yo, Ryan.
Hey, Greg and Anthony. Have either of y'all played Doki-Doki Literature Club yet? And if so, what'd you think?
I have not played Doki-Doki Literature Club. I've heard excellent things about it, though. And it's one of those things that I feel like every stream I watch, because I watch a lot of Twitch, like everyone's like, I'll donate this amount of money if you play Doki-Doki Literature Club. And it seems like it's like, it must be like I think it's one of those games that's having success because it's a hilarious thing to watch.
Well, it's having it's hitting critical mass, I feel, right now, where I've seen people talking about it, and they did the same thing they did with Gone Home.
Yeah.
Of play this game, don't read anything about it.
Yeah.
And then I saw Megan Sullivan doing it last night, and everybody responding, and I finally got in there, and I was like, Megan Sullivan from IGN, I'm like, do I need to play this? How long is it? Is it PC only? And it was Chastity from GameSpot was like, PC only, 4 hours, you gotta fucking play it. So it's on the list now.
4 hours, yeah. That's right up there with some of my favorite PC games that are like very short.
Sure.
If you're ever looking for another one, I'm just gonna throw this out because it's called Event Zero.
Okay.
One of the coolest short 4-hour PC games. The whole game is you're in a space station. It's abandoned. Kind of like a little bit like Tacoma, except in the sense that you arrive because your ship blew up nearby, and there just happens to be this other space station ship thing. You arrive, and it's like all retro 80s, very much like the universe of like Aliens. And you go up to a computer terminal, and your keyboard, when you're not WASDing around, because it's all in 3D, is how you type out full messages to this AI. And so you say, hey, what's up? And it's like, I don't know, what's up with you? And they put in a really, really complex chatbot in there that responds to your decisions. So it'll ask you things like, oh, here, let me make it more comfortable for you. And it'll put on mood lighting. And then it'll be like, what do you think? And if you're like, it'll be like, well, hey, it'll remember that down the line and be like, that's because you're shitty and don't like things that are nice. Or if you're like, I love it, it'll be like, oh, you're a person with good taste. And it'll treat you different.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And so as you're unraveling the mystery of the ship, Event Zero.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really excellent short game.
There you go, check it out. How long is it?
4 hours.
Oh, okay, cool.
You'll blaze through it.
Now, Anthony.
Yeah.
Before you went into this development thing.
Yeah.
And dropped off the face of the earth, you never podcast. You don't tweet. Nobody knows what
I don't podcast. You definitely can't find podcasts out there that I'm on.
Rebel FM.
Yeah.
Each and every week. You were a Star Wars fan.
Still am.
Okay, good. David Scott writes in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, hey there, Greg, and esteemed co-host Anthony. I'm sure you've heard, but this morning it's making the rounds that there's a petition to have the Star Wars license revoked from EA, allowing the license to be up for grabs. Now, as this is likely never going to happen, especially via petition, I don't mean to get anyone's hopes up, but my question to you guys is, what AAA studio would you like to see take on the next big Star Wars games besides Respawn? Personally, I think what Insomniac is doing with Spider-Man could work really well in the Star Wars universe. Big open world type game with plenty of insane QTEs to keep us on the edge of our seats. Thanks to all you guys do at Kind of Funny. Keep up the great work. You've got to have thought about this forever, talking about video games and Star Wars.
And I do think that online petitions about video games are stupid. Use them to affect real change. Anyways, I think Star Wars, one of the most important things about Star Wars games is story, right? And I think there could, like, I've actually thought about, like, someone should make like a battle royale game for Star Wars, except it's like a bunch of smugglers and stuff fighting for the, like, haha, a hut is basically.
I was going to say,
fight to the last death,
because
really cool. So I'm just always thinking about how you could license it and get
Star Wars. He needs a job.
And
Kathleen Kennedy.
But a studio I think could be good is Machine Games, the guys that did Wolfenstein.
Sure, holy
because
shit,
they know how to write a crazy, compelling, weird story that both has like a little bit of a dark edge and dark parts, but can hit on humor and like actual like affection and can somehow mix those in a way that, like, I feel like the Star Wars movies can also do, where you can have levity one moment, a serious moment where someone's getting their hand chopped off, followed then by like romance, and it all just works.
Yeah.
And I feel like someone like that, like all those guys that came sort of from, that sort of like Starbreeze school of thought with first person games that, like, were very much more story driven and stuff. I feel like that would be good. Machine Games definitely a good fit for that.
That was one of the conversations we had before break, was the fact that, okay, there's rumors Disney's upset with EA. If you thought it happened, if you wanted to break it up, you want to keep it together, what would you think? And it would be the fact that I feel, especially with Bethesda, right? In the studios they have and working with Machine,
Arcane,
exactly, are making great games, but their games aren't selling well. At least what Cursory looks at NPD and what we're hearing out of the UK makes sense with, right? And for me, that's very much an analog to Insomniac of, hey, we have this talented fucking studio, these great devs, and they made Sunset Overdrive and it just didn't sell, and nobody really knows anything about it. They know it's good, but it's not moving, blah, blah. So you go, if you're Sony or you go whoever, and you go, hey, let's partner and make this game and give you an IP people really fucking care about. If the EA deal went away, or when it eventually does, I would hope Disney would look at it the same way of like, cool, we love these games, we love what we're doing, now let's go out and actually work with the most talented developers rather than the most talented developers owned by EA or in EA. And that's not to shit on EA. It's just to say that competition makes everybody better and you have to work this way. And there's plenty of people out there making amazing shit that just isn't selling.
There is. And I feel like it's, you know, if I could give it to other devs too, like maybe it doesn't have to be something as big as Bethesda. It could literally be someone like Supergiant. Like they make great story-driven games, and maybe it'd be some weird turn-based thing I had never thought of that isn't some blockbuster third-person or first-person thing. It's this weird small thing. Like I feel like Star Wars, we've pretty much always had big things. Like even the SNES games, they were big releases. They were, you know, and then there was a time where LucasArts internally did some little games, but like I would love to see like the Ubisoft, you know, versions of like Child of Eden and stuff, but people who got the license and was like, we did this really weird, unique take on a Star Wars story. It just happens to be set in that universe, but it isn't this 4-year production, 500 people trying to make this crazy thing. It's just a little Star Wars story.
The only, and because I think Disney, and you are the Star Wars fan, so you can correct me if I'm wrong or tell me what you think. I think Disney knows what Star Wars is in terms of like, oh, this is great, let's not fuck this up. And I would feel like they partnered exclusively with EA, number one, because EA's giant publisher and has a lot of studios.
You get mobile, you get PC, you get console, it's all there.
And I also think there's part of it, if you put it with one company, with one head and one team or whatever, it's easy to keep, all right, what's the continuity and let's not cross paths and let's fuck all this shit up. And I feel like that's the one problem that would happen if we fractured off, and it was like, let's team up with awesome people to make awesome stuff of Greg Kasavin having to talk to somebody at Insomniac to talk to somebody at Bethesda, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true. I guess it'd be interesting if like, you know, there was a while there with Star Wars where they were concerned about making everything canon, but since they blew up the old canon, they have now the old books. If you go and buy the books now,
expanded,
it actually says Legends.
Legends.
And so it's like there are all these books that are now Legends, all the old Grand Admiral Thrawn stuff that everyone loved, Timothy's on, and like it'd be cool if like they would let people make Legends games. I doubt they ever would, but I could see that being like an avenue of like they just made this weird story and it doesn't matter, you know, like Telltale made a game where Luke actually does turn to the dark side, and that's the story arc we're doing. And much in the same way they did with Batman, where that Batman story is like obviously its own thing. And so
that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Really, really cool.
But like, will that ever happen? I doubt anytime soon. They're extremely protective.
Well, and what the EA deal is 10 years, and that was one of the, or at least that was one of the conversations we were having last week or whatever on the show. It feels so much longer ago. You know what I mean? It feels like we've been off a long, long time.
Yeah.
You expect to come in here, have dust, take down the cobwebs, get the team back together. Instead, Kevin just picked me up at my house, came in.
No, you guys take real vacations though. That's really nice.
We try to, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give you. Where to go now? You know what? Fuck it. We're jumping to a brand new segment called "Everyone Loves Anthony G." Remember, bit.ly/Anthony Doggy or
GoFundMe.com/Heel Shasta.
That's good too. Either one. Help him out with his dog here. I have some questions from the community about you, all right?
Yeah, sure.
James writes in and says, and this is all kindoffunny.com/KFGD.
The easiest topic.
Yeah. Greg and Anthony, I would like to know, what was the biggest hurdle for Anthony going from games journalism to developing? Thanks.
I'd say it was twofold. One, it was that I had no idea what I was doing. So when I got hired, I was thrown off the deep end into making that Daylight game and UE4 before there was any documentation. Like now, if you want to learn UE4, you should do it. There's fucking YouTube videos. There's documentation out there. You can make something that took me a month to make in 10 minutes probably because I didn't know what I was doing. The hardest part was being thrown into a game, being told we have 10 months to make it, and I was like the only designer on it when I started.
Jesus.
And so I was like, and they're like, we also need you to make these things. I was like, I still don't know what I'm doing. I had a lot of imposter syndrome where I would be like, I was up there, you know, up north, and I was like, I think I should try and get my job back at IGN. Like I've messed up. This is wrong. Luckily, I had a couple of people who were like, I felt the same way when I joined. I was like, I lied about my design experience to get my first job. And like, people were very supportive and patient enough with me that I was able to put in the time and learn it. That was hard. The other hardest thing was learning to let go of the game I was working on because it was shaping up not to be as good as I wanted. I had a bug list that was over 50 things long. Jesus. And you know, there's a term in design, you've probably heard it if you've followed games enough, it's called known shippable, which means this is a bug, it exists, we're just gonna let it fucking ride. Like in Daylight PS4, you could occasionally fall through the world. We did not know how to fix it, but it would occasionally happen. Physics would get weird and kick you through the world. Yeah. So the solution was to put a kill volume underneath so it at least would just murder you instead of you just running around the world forever.
Help, I'm trapped.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, that the hardest thing for that was learning to let go and surrender myself to the idea that I was going to make a less than great game, especially in my first outing. Coming from someone who had criticized hundreds of games and reviewed.
You're like, I know what people don't like in games. I can make this.
Yes, and as I was playing it, people at the studio were like, oh, it might be great. I was like, I can already tell you this is not going to be great. Like, and so like, that was just really hard. And like I was saying earlier, you know, having people that were fans of IGN being like, I'm going to buy Daylight. And I was like, oh, fuck, please. Like, I just want you to not be mad at me.
Yeah.
You know, and then even like when I was working at Zombie and we do like live streams for Daylight and stuff like that. And I'd be playing, having to be like, oh, see, it's a cool game. I'm like, oh, but I don't really think it's a cool game.
Yeah,
so shit.
that sucks, yeah.
That was just hard going from that, knowing, you know, just knowing so intimately what was bad and having to be like, and because of my experience at IGN, people wanted me to show it. I was at E3. I was going and doing press things, and it was like, that was really tough being like, on the other side of being like, hey, I know I have kind of a turd. Yeah. I'm going to show you my turd. Yeah. So here we go.
Did you tell your friends that?
Oh, yeah. My friends were all aware, you know.
There's somebody that we knew that did the similar thing of jumping from one side of the industry to the other and was very open about it and eventually got fired for it. They're like, you can't tell people this is bad. Get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would tell my, if it was like a close friend of mine, but usually my close
friends. I don't think he did it to everybody.
Yeah. My close friends wouldn't take the appointments though either. Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
And so like in the end, when I saw the reviews come out, like it wasn't like, Arthur didn't review my game. Griffin McElroy, I think, from Polygon did, you know, and Kevin Van Orr did it for GameSpot, you know. And I actually reached out to them afterwards because I remember when I gave reviews to games that were not great and devs reached out to me and were like, hey, thanks for the fair shake. It meant a lot to me. Yeah. So I tried to reach out to these people and they were like, oh, shit, I didn't even know you worked on it. I was like, that's good that you didn't know that. To be. Exactly.
Back in the shadows.
But like when they gave it like a 6 and stuff, I was like, that seems, I was not
fair,
surprised. I was like, okay, thanks for the very fair shake.
My dog Nick96 writes in and says, hi, Greg and Anthony. I just wanted to write in and say I loved the SimCity Let's Plays Greg did for IGN back in the day, and I think of them every time I hear about Anthony because of Gaius Valley. I also loved the Marvel Heroes Omega Let's Play with Nick Fury. I'm a Marvel guy, and when I saw Moon Knight was playable in a video game like Diablo, I was all in. Thanks for your hard work on the game, Anthony. I wish you the best to you.
That Marvel Heroes Let's Play we did here, I remember leaving with our PR person at the time, and we both walked out and we were like, do you think we're going to get in trouble for that? For that, like, potentially mildly racist Nick Fury impression that he was doing, like, and we're just like, let's just hope they never see and ask for forgiveness rather than permission on that one. So.
Kindoffunny.com. No, that's not right. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames.
You should definitely go find
Nick
that one.
walks in and does his Nick Fury impression.
That was. I'll say this. That was the most fun Marvel Heroes Omega appointment I did.
Okay, good. Yeah, so. We always wanted to buy suits.
Yeah,
but then it was that problem of who we are, where we're like, that suit's not good enough.
I mean,
then Nick looked into getting custom suits that were like $500. We're like, no, that's too much. And then
that was a really hard thing. You know, that was one thing about you guys that always made me really happy, was that you guys always gave the game some love. As you know, coming from the press side, it is very hard. Like Marvel Heroes Omega was a new thing on console, but it was really a 3-year-old game. Yeah. And so shopping that around to anybody, no one wanted to give it the time of day. Right. And like, you know, you would even have people like from our CEO to people in the executive level that would be like, how come the game's not getting more coverage? It's like, I don't know. Like, it just struck me as like, well, of course it's not. Like, I tried to explain to them, no one's interested in covering a 3-year-old game. Like, but it's new. But it's not. Like, it is just not exciting, and you're vying for attention of all these other games that are out around E3.
Well, that's what I thought was brilliant about it on the PC side before consoles, and when you guys started putting the year on there. Because all of a sudden it did seem new. And like when Brevet came back that first time, when I guess it would have been Marvel Heroes 2016?
Or 2015.
2015, right?
Yeah, when the rebrand happened.
Right, and it was like, hey, when the game came out, it wasn't good, and we know that, and we fixed all this, and look at it now, and it was like, oh, that's a refreshing interview. Great job on rebranding it to a place that cares, but it's been interesting for me, like I was talking about with DC last night, of jumping back into that and being like, oh shit, it's a crime syndicate up again. And like, I'm looking through all the shit. I'm like, I didn't know any of this came out. And I actually care about this game, still follow all the channels, but at some point it becomes noise and there is this, let alone we're IGN and what can we showcase and how can we put it out?
Yeah, why is this different? But we didn't really want to show you that. And it's just like.
And the struggle, of course, for like what you're talking about is the fact that thanks for saying we gave the game love. It's because I'm a fan and I thought it was a good game and loved what you guys did with it. It was the fact though that we're doing it, sure, and maybe an IGN or GameSpot or whoever, Big Site X won't do it or put up the press release. then there are the sites that are focused on Marvel Heroes or covering that beat. They'll do it, but then you're only talking to the audience that already knows about the game.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas the big thing is, how do you get it to that other level? How do you showcase this game to other people and put a spin on it?
Right. I mean, we do our live streams every month, but our live streams would be like, here's this really complex system that if you're just going to tune in on Twitch, you're like,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Fuck is this game?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So that onboarding is something that we were always super struggling with. I mean, ever since I started there, that was like the biggest thing was, why did like 40% of people installed the game, started it, and before they even reached a playable point, like didn't even finish the cutscene, just uninstalled it. Like we had metrics on that. That was like 40% of the people. So yeah, it was always trying to figure out why those things happen.
Why is this happening?
Yeah, I think it was because if you looked up on our Steam page for the game, we never showed the game with the HUD, and it never came across to you as a point and click game. All the trailers, all the pictures made it look like it was like almost like a Final Fight brawler. And so then people were like, I have to click with my mouse, I'm out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Usually I tell you this is time to squad up. It's where one of you writes into kindoffunny.com/KFGD. You give me your name, username, profile, what game you need help in, and then we read here and the best friends come and find you. I didn't get one today.
Aww.
It's like I didn't see one. Like there were so many questions for you. Nobody seemed to be filling in the squad up thing, and I totally slipped my mind. So just follow me on Twitter, Chuff Money.
Yeah, at Chuff Money. Also Twitch.
Now it's time to jump into You're Wrong. This is where one of you writes into kindoffunny.com/You're Wrong. Tell us what we screwed up as we were recording live on Twitch, so we set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or podcast services around the globe. Well, Ignacio Rojas wrote in, being live, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Marvel Heroes Omega didn't go down Friday. As of yesterday, the game is still up, which we corrected ourselves. Then he goes, update, it's down now.
Oh.
I repeat, Marvel Heroes is down, he says.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Capitalist Pig pops up and says, the Telltale Twitter conversation. The person inquiring about what Telltale games he should or shouldn't play was Shinobi. Okay. And then, these are all great. We didn't really fuck anything up. And Zyger chimes in and says, Anthony said you sleep half your life. The average person typically sleeps a third of their life, not a half. To Anthony and anyone else who does sleep half their life, more power to you, but that you shouldn't be sleeping that much.
Okay, I'm a power sleeper. I can definitely be like, I just slept 10 hours. 4 more.
Tim's
like,
the exact same way.
Just any time. Or like right now, if you were like, hey, we need to do something at 3, you're like, but we have this couch. I'm like, you guys could be stomping around. I'm like, it's okay. Arm over my eyes.
Yeah,
I'm
boom.
gone.
I've seen that for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily. Remember, each and every weekday here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames and youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and podcast services around the globe, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before giving you perspective, answer your questions, and having a good time with you, the Kinda Funny best friends. If you like that, be part of the show, kindoffunny.com/KFGD. We'll be back tomorrow. Your guest host is, I don't know yet. Maybe Tim? Do you want to do it again? I don't know how long the drive is.
I have a vet appointment for Shasta, else I would.
No, it'll probably be Tim then, I guess. Maybe, I can hit up Witta. Andrea's doing something, though. I know it's not Andrea. She's slacking off. She still vote for trending game of the year. But if she isn't winning once, well, bye! Shake my